whether the Zoom, the YouTube, or the Facebook. I pray that you will be with us listening. Pray that tonight's session Doc, just doing a system check with you to make sure we can hear you loud and clear. Rev? Right, Doc, just doing a system check with you to make sure we can hear you loud and clear.
Hello?
Okay, all right, I'm hearing you. Right, let us do a video check with you to make sure we can hear you loud and clear.
Hello?
Yes, I'm hearing you, Doc. All right, I'm hearing you. Let us do a video check with you to make sure we can hear you loud and clear. Let's test your video.
Hello?
Yes, I'm hearing you, Doc. All right, I'm hearing you. Let us do a video check. Let's test your video.
Hello?
Yes, I'm hearing you, Doc. All right, I'm hearing you. Let us do a video check. Let's test your video. Yes, I'm hearing you, Doc. All right, I'm hearing you. Let us do a video check. Let's test your video. Yes, I'm hearing you, Doc. Are you hearing me, Doc?
Hello?
Yes. Good evening, Doc. Are you hearing me, Doc?
Yes, I am hearing. Hello?
Okay. Just let me just. Yes. Good evening, Doc. Ensure that you and I are okay with the audio. Are you hearing me, Doc?
Yes, I am hearing. Hello?
Okay. Just let me just. Yes. Good evening, Doc. Ensure that you and I are okay with the audio. Are you hearing me? Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Straight Talk. We missed you guys, certainly missed you guys, and we are extremely happy. Just give me 1 second here. It's supposed to be.
Babe.
Should be hearing me now, Doc?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Okay, great. So, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. We are very delighted to be on platform one more time for another edition of Straight Talk. This evening, we have a very, very special guest to share with us. We will do the official introduction in a little bit, but before we begin, let us have a word of prayer. Let us pray. Father in heaven, we give you thanks for your love and for your mercies. We give you thanks for having been with us throughout today. Ask that you will now be with us as we go through this program. I pray that all of us will take away something from the program that we would have benefited, and we will leave here with better marriages. Be with Doctor as she presents. May she be herself and give us the real Reverend Carla Dunbar. These mercies we ask in your son's name. Amen. Now at this time, I'm going to ask my wife, Avoni, to do the official introduction of Reverend Dunbar, and then turn over to Doc. Before she even does the introduction, though, we really want to thank Doc for taking time out from her extremely busy schedule to join us this evening. And we are looking forward to a wonderful time. Over to you, Evan.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. It is my privilege to introduce to you our guest presenter for tonight, Carla A. Dunbar, Union by birth, relocated to the parish of Portland at age 11, where she got married and later accepted the Lord on the 20th of February 1994. She currently serves as senior pastor for the Cavaliers locality and nationally as the family life director. She is happily married to Mr. Kenute Dunbar, her teenage love. The union has produced 4 children, 2 girls and 2 boys. The couple now celebrates 43 years of togetherness and posterity of 10 beautiful grandchildren. Reverend Dr. Carla Dunbar holds a BA in theology, MA counseling psychology, a PhD in marriage and family therapy, and is a licensed sex therapist. She is also a certified professional life coach and media consultant. Reverend Dunbar was confirmed an honorary doctorate of philosophy in the Humane Letters and awarded Fellow of the Most Excellent Order of International Expert in the field of marriage and family counseling in 2017. In 2018, she received the prestigious award of Ecumenical Leadership, Civic Engagement and Marriage Family Unification in the Caribbean, UK, and the USA during the 48th staging of the Congressional Black Caucus in Washington, D.C. Dr. Dunbar is the author of 3 books, Changed the Journey, Sexscription, A Prescription for Sex, and her 52-week couples devotion. She is director of Carla Dunbar Ministries and Counseling Care with offices in Kingston, Mandeville, Montego Bay, and Ocho Rios. She also serves the country as a Justice of the Peace in the parish of St. Andrew. Her passion for marriage and the family continues to propel her to fulfill her mantra of rebuilding Jamaica one marriage at a time. She loves the Lord passionately and humbly enjoys helping persons resolve life's issues. Her philosophy states, anyone can create an impression, but not anyone can create an impact. She seeks always to impact by empowering. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Dr. Carla Dunbar.
Okay, Dr. Dunbar, your time.
Are you hearing me?
I'm hearing you, Doc.
Okay, great.
Not seeing your video.
Oh, you want to see me? Are you seeing me now? Yes, here I am.
That's right. Looking well as usual.
Looking tired as usual.
Yes, I know you had an extremely busy day, and trust me, really
Very, very busy.
to taking the time out to be with us. So,
Actually.
first, of course, since March and the COVID stepped in, we have been hearing a lot
Mm-hmm.
of things, Doc. People now are required to spend a lot more time with each other. The families spend more time. Husbands have to spend more time with each other. And
Mm-hmm.
I've heard that it has caused undue tension. And we want to know,
Navigating the new normal.
yes, can't adjust. So tonight, we just wanted you to share with the folk how they can keep that love flame burning during this pandemic. And I want you to just tell them as it is, because some people like to butter things up and make it sugarcoat, but I want you to just tell us really how they can do that realistically during the pandemic. So over to you, Doc. What we will do after you have done your brief presentation, we will accommodate some questions in the chat. So listeners, please feel free to post your questions in the chat, and we will have Doc respond to those questions as best as she is able to tonight. So over to you, Dr. Dunbar.
All right. It has never been easy when one has to deal with a pandemic, and especially a pandemic of the nature where persons who are unaccustomed to staying in a space together for any given period of time longer than they are accustomed to, even if they're married people, to treat with that. So navigating, this is what I call navigating the new normal. Navigating this new normal can be a bit troublesome, for persons who are not, couples who are not as mature in their relationship, and really are loving the company of each other. And even if you are mature, sometimes, because you're not accustomed to that amount of time together in the same space, and especially if you have children, makes it so much harder, for you all to be in the same space. But certainly it can be helped. And that what makes it different is because you're different. That's what makes it difficult. You are two different people. You have to remember you're two different people. You're coming from two different backgrounds. Even though you're married, you are one in the spirit that you're married, but you are individuals. And individuals like to have downtime, right? And it's also healthy for a relationship to have that downtime, that space, a little space away from each other sometimes, just to recalibrate self and to make self better, for the coming back together. And so that is one of the challenges that you face, in the relationship, and especially if you have to work from home, makes it so much harder, because then you really are not accustomed to how do I work this. For love to last, it has to be actively created, right? And that is one of the challenges that we face now, is that persons really are not wanting to, sometimes persons don't want to actively work at stuff. We kind of have a microwave generation. If you're talking to an older version of couples like myself, then it might be a little less tedious, because for us it is what it is, and it is what we have made it, and we know that it takes sacrifice for any relationship at all to work. So for us, we're willing to put in a little bit more time. For younger couples, however, it's a challenge, because younger couples are millennials. Younger couple are of the, what we would call the microwave generation, right? Who like everything in the instant. And so to not having to put in the amount of work. Just today I had to say to a couple who had come in and, just married a little bit over 2 years, but have hitting some bumps. And delay, and one party was ready to say, listen, this is it, call it a day, call lawyer already, and this is not what I signed up for, and as I listened and I smiled to myself, and I'm like, this is the problem that we're having. We don't know what we signed up for marriage, because persons are not prepared. You know, they have not been adequately prepared. When you're taking a degree, when you're reading for a degree, it's 4 years. You know, any form of degree, at least 4 years, 3 years if you're lucky. You know, I'm saying in my country now, in here in Jamaica, for you to get a driver's license now, you would have had to have your learners at least 2 years. That's the new law that came out in January. But no, so now you have to have a learners for 2 years. So you prepare to drive a car, you prepare for a degree or a profession, but you never adequately prepare for marriage. And that is one of the challenges that we face. You know, you just present 2 birth certificates and yeah, man, you're okay. And you have enough money to do it and you just do it. And so you never adequately prepare. You don't understand that there are going to be challenges up the road. You're going to meet upon some bumps and some grinds. Sometimes the tires are going to get flat and you're going to have to ride on the rims and it's a bumpy experience. You know, we don't anticipate that. We have romanticized the marriage. And so we don't see the difficult parts, you know, and then we try to run on things like emotion, which flatten out after a while. And then it doesn't work. It's like a faulty bridge that is waiting to fall. So the thing is, we don't have, and I think I have to say that at the beginning, that we don't have that head start. It is why I have now seen the necessity of launching what I call the gym, a Grow Your Marriage Academy, which I'm actually launching that on Sunday, to teach persons, adequately prepared singles, adequately help them to understand that you must love yourself 100% before you try to take on somebody else in your space. You know, and just adequately trying to prepare persons for marriage, and then also how to maintain and sustain marriage if we are to get through, you know, all that marriage entails. Because when you stood before the pastor, you made a vow, you made a promise, you took a covenant to love, to honor, to cherish, to respect in sickness and in health, for richer, for poorer, for better, for worse, until death. Not until the death of a conversation or an opinion or even something, but until the death of either one of you. That is the concept of marriage that God had in mind. It still stands today. Nothing has changed. Well, nothing is supposed to change it. We, however, have love so, you know, at least the thing rocks our boat. We're ready to, you know, jump off the ship. You know, we forgot that we're in a relationship to relate. We have made our marriages a situationship and all different kinds of things. And divorce is now so easily accessible. It's like you're driving up to Burger King to buy a burger. You're handing the documents at one window, like you're handing the cash, and and then you receive the divorce decree absolute at the other end. We have to understand that marriage, really, it's going to take more than that for it to work. You have to actively work on that relationship, on that marriage, to ensure that it works. And so you have to put in some extra time. You have to make some sacrifices. You have to learn to compromise. You know, these are words we don't like to hear. We have to learn submission where it necessitates. You know, we have to learn to disseminate love to our spouses where that is concerned, so that our marriages, which are meant to last, will last. That it will honor and please God, because that is what it's supposed to do, because it's a representation of Christ for the church. So then, I'm saying, you know, that's one of the challenges that we face, the inadequacy of the preparation, right, for this long haul. My husband and I are celebrating 43 or so years together now, 27 years of marriage, but we have been living together for 43 years. And we didn't just come to this juncture in our life. We didn't just come to this place in our life without, you know, escaping all of the batterings that life has to offer, all of the challenges that comes with marriages, you know. But together we learn that we can overcome. One hand cannot clap, and it does take two of you who are willing to work together like a pair of scissors, where the blades, when they go in different directions, they can do some amount of damage. But when you come together, you know, you are so much more powerful. That's what the marital union is. And until we understand that, until we understand, you know, what it necessitates, we're never really going to get it together. But we have to try to cement our relationship. We have to try to understand that marriages are supposed to make out of so much more better material than what we're making it out to be. And that is why we're so quick to jump the ship, where they're so quick to, you know, call it a day, throw in the towel. I don't need you. You're not the boss of me, that kind of a thing, right? But if you and your spouse understood from the get-go that your marriage is going to take some amount of navigation, right? In there's going to be good times, there are going to be tough times, then you can come out on the other side closer than ever before, because hard times and conflicts are inevitable, right? They are just a part of life. And when you learn to overcome those times together, then you can really deepen your sense of partnership, whether it is you're dealing with internal conflicts or disagreements or infidelity, health crises, psychological or external conflicts like loss, tragedy, job loss, because some persons have gone through that during this time, job loss, you know, family or in-law issues. You're going to come up against some of these mixed challenges over the course of your marriage. And the key is knowing how to stick together through it all, right? And when a husband and a wife obeys the biblical command to cleave to each other, they will literally join, you will literally join together. I was sharing with somebody today, listen, we tend to want to say that, oh, we have become, you know, two shall become, and so we have become. But it's not a becoming, no, it's a becoming. It's something that is consistent. Yes? And so it's when you obey the command and you are learning, you obey the command to cleave together through it all, then you are literally being joined together and being intimate and having sexual relationships, becoming one flesh, is a part of the commitment to each other in marriage, right? And this commitment also includes fidelity and trust, and a willingness to purposefully become closer to each other, and a yearning to know and to be known. And these are also the characteristics, and this is also the character to act properly when under pressure or temptation. No one escapes temptation, sanctified or not, right? We all have it. Marriage is hard because life is hard. And we have to understand that. Relationships are hard and people are complicated. And we tend to mask our vulnerabilities and our fears and our loneliness and our shame and our confusion under all sorts of things. And I'm now believing that there needs to be a truth and reconciliation forum in our society, in our world where relationships are concerned, because too many people lie about how they are feeling. Even in relationship, they lie. You're all right, yes, I'm okay. You're not. But for fear of the other person will feel or they will take it, or fear of offending somebody, you just lie. And so we're not truthful to each other. And it's so hard when two people come together to live together for a lifetime, that you don't even know your spouse. You know, you don't even know what your spouse's true feelings are. All of that. But as it is hard, right, to live with the same person for decades and accepting their imperfections and their blind spots, and it takes tremendous amount of love and patience, right, to be able to do that. And we also have to remember that it's not a picnic for our spouses too. We have to remember that just like how we feel about what's happening in the relationship, our spouses are feeling the same way. But with a lot of work, a willingness of both of you to be honest with each other and yourselves, it can be done. And just because you're currently unhappy in your marriage does not mean that you will be better off ending your marriage. And I just want to say these things on the onset, because I'm doing so many different marriage seminars and relationship issues, and I'm doing it in the corporate world and in the church, and it's just so heart-rending to see how quickly people just are willing to give up on something that is supposed to be so meaningful and something that is supposed to last a lifetime, because we want it to be peaches and cream all the time. Nothing in life is peaches and cream all the time. And even roses, they get crushed, you know, and they fade, right? And I believe that more marriages might survive if the partners realize that sometimes the better comes before the worst, right? And so the first thing I think you have to remember as a couple to navigate and to get closer together is remember that you're teammates. Dora says teamwork make the dream work. Remember that you're teammates, and as a couple who one or both are, you know, have to be at home in the same space or probably work from home, or if you're a nuclear family with children who need to be entertained. The fact is that we are all finding communal living in this time, the new normal time. It is now being called very difficult, right? And so you're not the only person, but you're a team, right? And I know that by now more persons are adjusting to the changes, but we have heard in our country, we have heard that we'll have to learn how to live with it, as it is not yet known how long these measures that are implemented may last. And we have not only to survive, but we have to live and we have to thrive. And our relationships with each other as a couple will be hugely important for getting us through these unprecedented times, right? Now, self-isolation or social or physical distancing and concerns about issues like communications and privacy and space and finances, among other relational or family dynamics, places us under added pressure. And another thing is, because we need all our relationship when this is over, we have to work through it, right, with the stages. So the first thing to understand, couples, if you're a couple, and for those of you who want to be married, if you're single and you're listening, is that we're different. I call it designer difference because I'm celebrating my differentness. Don't want to be like my husband, don't want him to be like me. So we have what I call designer difference. Nobody came off the belt just like you. Even if you're a Siamese twin, you are different. Even if you're a joint at the hip or a joint at the head, you are different. We are all designed differently, and we are intentionally designed that way by God. He intended for that to happen. So understand that you're different and you're going to have different likes and dislikes, and even going through the times that we're going in, those likes and dislikes, all those faults and follies are now going to rear their ugly head. Because my grandmother used to say, come see me and come live with me is two different things. And the truth is, you don't know the mess until you're in the mess for a while. And so you're different. And this is where all of your uncharacteristic self is going to come out sometimes. All the things that your partner never knew about you, perhaps, all the little quirks and faults and foibles may just come out at this time, right? It's an unprecedented time, but we have testing times, and this is a difference. And so the first key to do is to not assume that your spouse is going to feel the same way like you, because your spouse is different. And oftentimes we feel that others are experiencing the same emotions or thoughts that we are. Emotions are never static. And so emotions are motions, right? And so when you assume that your partner should feel the same way that you feel about something, then you are wrong, right? But if you can appreciate your spouse's difference and appreciate how your spouse might probably want to or like to deal with a particular situation, then it can make it better for you as a couple to be maneuvering this together. Just remember that you're different. You're not only different in the sexes, that he's a male and you're a female, or she's a female and you're a male. The men, you run on logic and analytics, and so you can't sometimes understand our emotional insecurities and all of that. But that's the key. Moses in Deuteronomy 24:5 said, when a man takes a new wife, take some time and get to know her. And sometimes, guys, you work to the detriment of getting to know your spouse, because your jobs are important to you. It validates you. It is what brings in the box. And so you don't mind spending a lot of time doing that. The more work, the more money. But at the same time, your wife has emotional needs. And if you don't spend time to know those needs, you're never going to be able to meet those needs. And if you allow your wife to become self-sufficient, then your marriage is definitely in problems. So you need to spend the time that Moses dictated in Deuteronomy 24:5. He says you have to spend a year. That's where we get the concept of the honeymoon from anyway, right? But we have watered down the honeymoon now to a weekend, and so we don't even spend that much time to know each other, know anything about each other, because after the honeymoon of a weekend, you're going back to work, right? And so you count the very few hours that you spend together, because you can't count the sleeping hours, because when you're sleeping, you're not conscious of anything. So you might get to spend 2 hours together before bedtime, because even with the coronavirus and you're home, you're still doing different things. Some of you are working from home, so you're paying attention to your work. And those of you who are not working from home, you go out to work and you come back in. sorry, and you come back in and you're busy doing other things and preparing for the next day. Wives are busy looking after kids and looking at homework, especially in this next challenging time again with the Zoom and everything. And so there's just a plethora of things happening, right? And so you're really not settled on certain things. You don't get to spend a lot of time together. So you really don't even get to know each other to the extent that you know. And the truth is, you really can never know your partner fully, you know. I don't care what you say. I've been with my husband for 43 years, and I think his last year I found out that he never really liked chicken breast, and I've been giving him chicken breast all the time because I thought that it's the best part of the chicken and he must get it. Only to hear him say to somebody sometime last year that he never really liked chicken breast. But he has never told me. That's what I talk about, where untruth, well, it never comes out. You don't want to hurt another person's feelings. You understand? You understand? And the simple things like these, we don't understand that we need to know. So you are different. So get that. Get that you're different. Get that your spouse is different. Get that your spouse thinks different. Get that your spouse has opinions. Just get that your spouse is just totally different. You're not just different in biceps and triceps and curves and, you know, vital statistics. You are different. You're different up here as well, where it matters most, right? But your differentness does not have to complicate the relationship because it was meant by God to complement your relationship. When you understand that, you're better able to appreciate your spouse's differentness, right? And how they react to certain circumstances, right? Like you're talking about COVID-19, and I learned in the height of the COVID-19, I was just there one day and I said, babes, are you scared? You know, and surprising, my husband said he was scared about what was happening with COVID-19. Now, this is the person who killed all the cooking meats that I'm afraid of and all the rats. But you see, here he is, scared of COVID-19. I was not necessarily scared of COVID-19. I was just keeping aware, but I wasn't really scared. You know what I mean? So you never know how your spouse's response to stuff. And you think that they should respond to it the same way that you do. But nobody ever told you that that was supposed to happen, right? While you have some similarities or compatibilities on some levels, it doesn't mean that it has to be in the same way. And if it is that your spouse was like you, trust me, it would be a boring relationship, right? So don't just expect that. I'm having tea. Right. So you just need to know that's the first thing that you need to understand so that you can navigate. Now, when you understand that, second thing, just communicate now, please. And communication must be effective because you are communicating as a spouse, but you're not communicating effectively. You're not listening properly. You're not sharing properly. You're not sharing the whole story. You're not sharing how you really feel. You just tidbits of information that sometimes wives, husbands do not understand, don't know how to answer, don't know if they should really answer, and sometimes how they feel also mitigates against them really wanting to respond because they don't know how you're going to take it. So communication is not being effective. I have learned that a woman can emit 50,000 words in a day, and men can only emit like 25,000, right? And the paradox is that the man goes to work and uses up 24,975. And that leaves him with only 25 words to come home and match the woman's 25,000 that is left after she comes from work. And so you'll find that a very verbose woman is married to a very silent type man, or the man has to be conserving on the few words he has left. And so he thinks that she must do the same. But he doesn't understand that she still have a whole heap of words inside of her that she wants to talk about tonight before she go to bed. That will make sex easier because he's just thinking, I really just need to touch you, you know, and you'll be ready for me. And she has so much that she wants to say to you that when she unloads all of that, that is what makes her more receptive sexually or to romance. But a man doesn't understand that. So communicate properly, communicate verbally, communicate clearly to your spouse. Ladies, I don't mean that you give a man a whole 1 hour of talking, and then at the end of that 1 hour, you want them to respond to you qualitatively. It's not going to happen. Because the truth is, they are not built like you. Remember, I talk about differences. So they are not built to facilitate a 1 hour conversation and then respond to you qualitatively. You lose them after 15 minutes. So what you need to do is to talk for 15 minutes and then get a response. And then you talk again. But if you have all of that pent up thing that you want to talk about with the children and what did happen last week and what he never did do and what he should did do and what he needs to do, which is one of our favorite words, what he needs to do, then after you finish all of that, you've left him probably at the first 15 minutes trying to figure out the solution to the 15-minute problem. And so you don't get quality responses. So you have to know how to communicate. I think one of the courses I'm going to teach in the gym is how to talk so that your husband will listen. That will be a specific course for wives, because one of the things is how we talk to them sometimes cause them to be offended, feel disrespected, and so they don't really want to entertain our conversation, right? And so if you learn to communicate effectively with each other, learn how to not regurgitate a lot. Women, we like to bring up past stuff because they have not been resolved. Men don't like past stuff because it sounds like nagging. But gentlemen, it's because you didn't cause it to be resolved, so it comes up back. There's just a whole heap of differences. So communicate properly, communicate effectively, communicate clearly. I just came home. So I might sound tired and a long day. I've been sitting at my desk with clients from 10 a.m. this morning, every hour on the hour, right up until I left the office at 7 o'clock just now to reach home, just in time for this, right? I've had a long day with 8 or 9 sets of clients. And what I think I was saying, to one of the couples that I spoke to today, is that we have to be able to understand how to speak each other's language. It's important, and not just be thinking about ourselves. Marriage is our other-centeredness thing. It's not our self-centeredness thing. So if you don't know how to talk that your spouse will listen, you're going to end up having challenges. So learn to communicate. Listen with your heart instead of your ears. When you listen with your ears, you're going to hear content. When you listen with your heart, you hear intent. That's important because sometimes we don't always are able to say what we really mean, right? But if you listen with your heart, you will hear the intent. If you listen with your ear alone, you're going to hear content. I believe married person must listen with their heart, right? So communicate properly, communicate clearly, speak so that the other person can actually understand and be able to appreciate what you are saying to each other, right? Whilst you're locked up together because of COVID, do some things, create some habits. You should have created habits before though. Couples must learn to create habits. Many times they spend too much time with the kids, especially women. Like they're our entire lives and our lives revolve around them and forget that we were married and husband and wife first, or that ought to have been the case. I know we have gone a little bit backwards on that because we start having children before we get married, but the truth is that sometimes we forget that we are husbands and wives first, or we are to be husbands and wives first before we are mothers and fathers. And so we give the children more than the time. We are supposed to give them priority time and all of that, but you must remember that at the end of all of that, you have to come back and spend time with each other. It's important. And children, you have to teach children that mommies and daddies must spend time together. Children are what we make them. So if you don't teach them that you must spend time together in order to keep your relationship together, then you're going to be doing them a great disservice because eventually they're old enough and they don't need that attention that you are giving them anymore, or they have gone and left the nest empty. You would have grown apart by that time. And what is going to be the end result of that is a divorce, separation and a divorce. So you need to pay attention to each other. And so I tell couples now to formulate habits from now. Habits of watching a movie together, surfing the internet together, gardening together, whatever it is that you do. For the younger generation, playing your video games together, something. Just create habits that can take you through these times. These are times now when you need to draw back on some of those games, cuddle up and watch a movie, pop some popcorn if you're not watching your calories, and drink some drinks, have some wine. Wine is good sometimes to settle you. Have some red wine and some white wine. Just do some things, man. Have a meal, play footsie under the table, those things that you used to do when you were trying to get each other. Go back to some of those things. Yes, create some habits so that you can do these things together. It's important that you do that, right? Understand that these shared time that you spend together doing these things bring you closer. It is the becoming of each other, right? And so you want to do that. You want to understand your differentness. You want to understand how to communicate more effectively with each other and communicate more effectively. And you want to create some habits, do things together, right? In this time of, we are living in a very individualistic world. Everybody is on their tablets and their cell phones by themselves doing their own thing. You forget to connect. But as a couple, you can't forget to connect. Because if you fail to connect with your spouse, it's because we are created to relate, right? We are created to connect. So it is either that you're connecting with your spouse or there's going to be connection elsewhere. That's why we have infidelity. That's why Paul was very clear in the whole matter of sexual relations in 1 Corinthians 7, that if you abstain for a given period of time, that you have to come together again, because we are not meant to be alone once we're married. If you're single, it's a different thing. If you're single, enjoy your singleness. But once you're married, it's a totally different thing, right? And so we need to understand. That's why we need to understand what marriage necessitates, because you can't take a day off from marriage. You never get vacation leave. You're in it, right? And you have to be in it to win it, right? To be the best that you can be to each other, right? So create some habits, do some stuff, play some games. Str8, I don't know. I have some very nice games at my office, you know, some nice intimate games, you know, that couples can purchase, you know, 365 naughty nights, 365 sex position for the year, pillow talk, foreplay in a row. All of these are games that you can actually play, you know. So yeah, you know, cause the salivation, cause the everything to be happening with each other. It's important that you do that. So create habits. And then be responsible for your romance. It's important, right? Romantic love needs, like all other things, needs maintenance, needs sustenance. There's a play we watched some years ago in Jamaica where I think it was Glenn Campbell. I don't remember who it was, but they were talking about if you want the pot to boil, put up a push a fire, right? So if you want your romance to be active and thriving and vibrant and all of that, it is your responsibility to do it. You know, you can't want a nice mushy night and never put any thought into it. Husbands, you can't want to come home and your wife must just be ready and receptive to your sexual initiatives. But when you left her this morning, you never even give her a little chups, not a little pat on her bottom to say, you know, you still find her bottom interesting, not a little text message, or WhatsApp message, you know, to say, how are you? Did you eat lunch? Nothing. You did no foreplay. Those things are foreplay for your wife. You know, it's not just for you leaving her in the morning and then expect for her when you come home this evening, she must be ready and waiting, and her legs must be wide open. That's not how it is. If you have been reading your Bibles, you'd have read Solomon. Solomon lyrics the Shunammite woman. He never stopped lyrics in her until she said, I have taken off my sandals, I've taken off my skirt, and I've opened up to him, and now can I put them back on again? When you pay the writer compliments and you lyrics her and you tell her how much you appreciate her and what she does and her cooking nice and all of that, she's actually getting wet already and rain not falling. You understand? She's ready and waiting for you. Yes, she's pulsating, she's waiting for you. Everything is jumping all over the place. You are actually taking her through the 4 stages of sex. You are arousing her and getting her to a plateau and bringing her to a climax to go back to a refractory again. But you can't just want to come home and she must be ready, right, for sex. You have to build the romance. It takes some time to get that to the place. My husband says a woman is like a clothes iron. You have to plug her in and give her some warm-up time. When you plug in an electric iron, it takes some time to heat up. And back in the day when we used to use coal iron and the iron that you put on over the heat, it still took some time to warm up. And a woman is like that. We are not ever ready, you know? No, we don't have anything that stands up. You understand? You can't just turn us on and we are just, and we light up. It takes time for us to get there. Percy Slade sang the song. It takes time to know her. So you need to plan your romance, prepare for it, and take active responsibility for it. Yes, because otherwise it's going to wane like everything else. It wanes, sex wanes, romance wanes, right? So you have to actively do what you do, right, to get to that place. And women, you too need to, take some active initiative in ensuring that you remain attractive and vibrant and, to your spouse. Some of us, when we become Christians, we throw out everything with the bathwater, and we never see anywhere in the Bible where it tells us to do that, but we are so steeped in religiosity that we have lost ourselves. We used to be sexy as all get out before the man look us. We used to wear the little nice shorts that, that cut somewhere on our deliveries. We used to, wear the thongs and the whatever, and all of a sudden we forget these things, We're going to bed now and our nightgowns are all the way up here and down to our sleeves, and the men them have to be searching with flashlights to find what used to excite them, what used to be so available, and now it's no longer available because we compartmentalize and lock it off. You have to take active responsibility for what you want to see in your relationship. Men are visually aroused. They are aroused by touch and sight. They're aroused by what they see, so they want to be able to see, be aroused. If you cover up everything, they're not going to see it. Solomon was able to tell his Shunammite wife that her breast standing up like twin towers. He was able to tell her about her abdomen and her neck were graceful and all of those other things. Some of your husbands have never seen your vagina, much less to know what your clitoris looks like. These are all mysteries to them that they are trying to resolve. Like Paul says, the whole marriage thing is a mystery. Some of you, your genitals are a mystery to your husbands. You never see it. Your spouse's genitals, your spouse's, your spouse's penis is a thing. It's a mystery to you too. You don't even know what it looks like. You just receive it. You never get intimate with it. You never take a good look. You never allowed a good look. So I'm just saying, you need to make the romance. You need to make the date nights at home. Make date nights. You can cook and have dinner at home, COVID restrict you from going to places late at night or whatever. What about at home? You have a dining table. If you don't have one, you can still have romantic dinner on your bed. People do it all the time. You need to make your romance your business, right? You need to do the things that necessitates that you spend some time together, create some friction, do what is it that you need to do. We have become so consumed with business and making the eternal dollar, that the almighty dollar, that we forget the things that really matter. At the end of the day, we're going to work ourselves to a frazzle, have a very fat bank account, but do not have each other. Or you're going to be going after your careers and working for the GPAs and forget that you have spouses. And then when you graduate with honors, but you don't have no husband and you have no wife. So you just have to know what is important to both of you, right? And work at it actively. Nothing ever just happens. We can't expect romance. We can't expect, to have the kind of relationship that we envision, the kind of marriage, when we are never willing, to work at it. We're never willing to do anything. We are all so seeped in our Christianity, we forget to enjoy sex and forget to enjoy the throes of love making, and forget to be able to turn our spouses on, forget to blow their brains, forget to try to create some new position that Adam and Eve didn't create. We just forget to do the things that necessitates, take your husband on a date, take your wife on a date. It doesn't matter who does what. Anybody can initiate these things. You have to be willing to do the things, right? And these are the times when, you do it, or it does you. Yeah, and so you have to find the time when you're home, spend some time, do some things together, lie down with each other. Sometimes my husband likes to get up and go into the garden after something, so you can lie down in the bed. Sometimes I get too busy too, and I'm on the go. But we have to care enough for each other look out for the best for our relationships, and to make sure that to ensure that we are keeping the things alive, the things that meant so much to us years ago, that they still mean so much to us now, right? So that our marriages will last and that they can outlast our careers, because our careers are outlasting our marriages because we take time to prepare for them. And so we need to understand what is supposed to happen. You know, I wasn't told the kind of audience necessarily that I'm speaking to. I don't know if I'm speaking to single persons or I'm just speaking to married persons. But I'm just saying, if you're single, do you and love you. But if you're married, you have to pay attention to each other. You have to compliment each other. Gentlemen, ladies love compliments. They thrive on compliments like plants thrive on water. And ladies, men need affirmation. They need to know that the little things that they do around the house, that you appreciate it. You know, they change a plug, they cut a lawn, whatever they do, they wash a car, whatever it is. They need to know that you appreciate it. Affirm them, you know, for the things that they do. Affirm them for the job. Affirm them for the fact that they go out and they work and they bring in the money. You know, and gentlemen, you appreciate the wife. You compliment them. They clean the house. They change the curtain. They go out and they work like you, but they still come home from working, which they're not even created for. We're not created. Women are not created for provision like that. We are created as nurturers. We have had to step out of that and go into provision and still come back home and nurture the entire family. And that's an awesome task. It's awesome on our mentality because we're not really created for that, you know, but God gives us the grace and the strength for it. And so we need to understand what it necessitates so that we can work together. We can have the harmony that we desire together. We can go together as a couple. We can navigate the challenging times together. We can still find each other after 30 years, 20 years, 40 years. We can still make each other climax. You know, we can still make each other talk gibberish. We can, you know, still give, you know, your husband the epiphany for him to be standing on 3 feet. You can still have the ability to cause your wife to have 3-4 orgasms in one act of love making. You know, it is really what you make it. You know, that intimacy gets really intense. You know, that you can lie down and cuddle if you're seniors, and you know, just find the time being with each other, and it can be so nice. You know, and so comforting, you know, in the relationship, and you can feel that sense of security and that sense of belonging that we so long for, you know, in a relationship. It is God's intention that we embrace each other, you know, in our relationship, in our marriages, that we embrace each other, that we put each other first before ourselves, that we always look to ensure that our spouses are pleased, at least as much as we possibly can, that they are taken care of, that their well-being is our priority, that they come first, because everybody marries to come first, right? To be first in a relationship, right? And that when you're in lovemaking husbands, that you ensure that, you know, it is your wife who reaches the finish line before you. Don't make the lovemaking a race. Make it a competition to see how you can outplease each other, but not make it a race where you're trying to win your wife. She's supposed to actually have a couple of orgasms before you can think of ejaculating. I mean, if you're not doing these things, then trust me, you really are going to be missing out on a lot of things in a relationship. Women are going to be dissatisfied, men are going to be dissatisfied. Ladies, if you're locked off and you're not, you know, giving your husband sex because you're not feeling it, then instead of having a honest conversation, honesty is the highest height of intimacy in a relationship. If you're not being honest in a relationship and just make each other know, of course, tactfully and with sensitivity, you know, what is happening and how you can be better helped and better feel appreciated in the relationship, then it's not going to work. But if you together are the team that is forging the path of intimacy and love together, if you together, you know, are trying for the challenge and the curveballs that are thrown at you, you know, as will come with life in general. If you together are seeking to do all of that, then I can assure you that you will enjoy your marriage, you will enjoy your relationship. You know, marriage is not a walk in the park or a run in the mill, right? But it can be beautiful if you take the time to spend that time to give your spouse the best of yourself, right? Not yourself, the best of yourself, but your spouse, the best of yourself, then your relationship, your marriage can be better. It can have more lasting commitment. It can yield many more benefits if you're making it other-centered, paying attention to each other, communicating, effectively with each other, understanding and seeking to understand each other's differences as you go along the journey of marriage, and just trying to make the best of your marriage as you go along. Then I can assure you, COVID will pass and you'd have been better for having experienced COVID, because you would have drawn closer together, you would have bonded deeper and more intensely, you'd have grown deeper in your intimacy, your love and your love making would have been more intensified, and you would have been living healthier, happier lives, more harmonious lives, having been cooped up in the COVID space, right? So I just want to, I hope those 4 points that I shared with you are enough to help you to navigate the times, because I can't do everything in one sitting. And I'm very tired right now. I have to get up very early. I have a television interview at 6:30 in the morning. I have to be at the station. So I trust that I would have helped you with the 4 points that I have shared with you, in understanding the differentness, in communicating with each other, in forming habits, and in making romance your responsibility, that you'll be better able to navigate the rest of the trying times that we are in, and to come out of it better for having been in your marriage. I take the questions at this point.
All right. Thank you, Rev. I have some questions here, and viewers, if you have a question that you really need to ask, you may share it in the chat. If you're on YouTube, Facebook, you can share it in the chat also. But one question, there's a caller online who wants to know how they can purchase the games that you mentioned earlier. Share with them for me, please.
The games are at my office, and you can link my office either on Facebook or YouTube or Messenger, Carla Dunbar Ministries. Or if you need to call on WhatsApp, it's 876-782-7646. That's 876-782-7646. There are different games, like I said, I don't know all of them. I just mentioned about 4. I have what I call intimate worship tools. Those are games and toys and tools that couples can use to enhance the quality of your intimacy, as well as you probably need to buy Sexscription, which is my prescription for sex. That's my book. Has been a 3 times bestseller. And it's very practical. It's very erotic, intentionally erotic, where I teach a husband how to properly stimulate his wife, how to properly treat with the matter of cunnilingus. I teach a wife how to properly stimulate her husband and properly treat with the matter of fellatio, that kind of a thing. So Sexscription is a very, very good book for you to have. And as a couple, you could also look out for and register my Grow Your Marriage Academy will be launched on Sunday. And courses start next week, Wednesday. And I'll be teaching different courses: marriage maintenance, sexual proficiency, on your marks for courting couples, and marriage readiness intelligence for singles, etc. And all of those information can be added from any one of my pages or from my office, or if you write us at carladunbarministries@gmail.com.
Our next question: what if the wife, who's a housewife, wants to spend time with her husband, but he is never available because he's always at work, and whenever he's at home, he's always on the phone?
And that is the challenge I alluded to earlier. Men are created as providers, and so they will work to the detriment of their relationship. But they need to understand that it is really to the detriment. And even though their job is important and their job validates them, and they sometimes they feel very special at work because when they do a good job, they get praised for it, and sometimes they do things at home and they don't get praised for it. But husbands, you have to be wise. Solomon was a wise man. He knew the importance of spending time with his wife. A wife has emotional need. I don't know if you know what your spouse's love language is or what your spouse's highest motivational needs are, but it's important for you to know that. That's one of the things I do with my couples, right? And so one of those needs may be quality time. And if you don't spend that time, then that is, wives don't cheat for sex, wives cheat for affection, and affection can be quality time. So husbands, you have to pay attention where the importance needs to be. Everything in life is important, but not everything of the same importance. Spending time with your wife is important. What if that happens? I don't know that a husband would not want to spend time with his wife. I think at the end of it all, men want to get sex, and sometimes that is not very forthcoming. And so sometimes they will see that was a waste of time. But gentlemen, I would say to you that, as I said earlier, if you know how to foreplay your wife, and that's not just touching her 2 minutes before you want sex, that's talking to her in the morning and connecting with her and complimenting her throughout the day or something, and then she'll be ready. If you know how to do that, then you'll get sex, right? If it is that you find that your husband really doesn't want to spend any time with you, something can be wrong. I have had that in my counseling where I've seen couples come and that has been brought up. And when I check to find out, sometimes I find that the men have sexual deficiencies. But because they are too ashamed, because it's a sensitive matter, the wives will not know that they're having a challenge sexually, and so they'll refrain from any intimate contact so as for you not to find out that they're having that kind of a challenge, because sometimes that is a problem as well.
Right, thank you, Doc. Carla wants to know how to deal with a partner who has become impotent, and both partners are in their 30s.
Wow. For somebody to be impotent at 30, something drastic could have had to happen, right? It's either they are having diabetes, and they are very advanced with it, and that could have still have been treated, as a lot of these cases can be treated, and some of these cases are also psychological. And so I wouldn't rule out the fact that the person can be revived. I really wouldn't rule it out at 30, right? That there has to be something that can be done to restore that. A lot of the times people come to me with challenges of impotence, and with psychoanalysis, usually sometimes it's connected to something that's happening in the psyche. And once we can get past that barrier, then, and with some amount of stimulation and the both partners working together, persons can be up and working again. If it is that it's a case where it cannot be reversed any at all, then there are other ways. I mean, sex is not just penis dependent, right? So there's oral sex, if you believe in that. Then there are toys and tools that you both can use together to assist in that area. But I would say if you have never gone to check out your situations of impotence, that you shouldn't rule out checking that out. That's a part of what I do. So, and probably wherever you are, there might be sexologists or a clinical sexologist or a sex therapist like myself who can help you to maneuver those challenges. Don't rule it, throw it away because it's not yet, probably not yet dead.
Okay, thank you, Doc. My next question,
You're
how
welcome.
do I try to make communication better with my partner who is somewhat the quiet type, who hates being asked questions and sometimes he does not answer me?
Um, Everybody will talk to some extent, and you will, like I said earlier, you'll have a very verbose wife married to a very silent type husband. You have to remember, especially in our culture, you see, in the Caribbean context, Men were not socialized to talk a lot. When you're growing up and you're boys, or you chat so much, you're a girl, you cry for your sissy, something like that. And so our boys grew up to be men who become silent and they think that to be mature is to be quiet. And that's the challenge that we're having now. Now we're realizing the error in what we did in raising these boys. We never allowed them to express themselves. And so they enter into relationship unexpressive, not knowing how to express themselves and having a form of thinking, a preconceived thought pattern that it is best for them to be quiet. But I think any wife can have conversation with her husband, just like I said earlier. Don't expect them to be the avid talker like you. Don't expect them to have this whole heap of conversation or to be able to respond to it. Know how to talk to them. When I want to talk to my husband, first of all, don't go with I need to talk to you. Husband go and run. Because him know you're gonna come with a 3-hour conversation or something, you're gonna bring up some old story and nag him with something or we never resolve or something. No. It's how you talk. That's one of the other courses I'm going to be teaching, how to talk so that they listen. It's how you say what you're saying to them, babes. You know, can we have a conversation? You know, or I need your help with something. You know, I need to help me to figure out something. Not I need to talk to you, because that sounds like a teacher telling a student something, or your son like you're talking to your big son or something. And husbands don't like those kind of conversation. That kind of approach to them doesn't sit very well with them. So how you approach your husband will determine the kind of conversation you can get and the length of the time that you're going to spend to talk. And if it's not something that you're rehashing from the past, that you have brought up countless times before, but because it has never been resolved, you bring it up. Separate and apart from that, if it is that you really find that you're really having a stalemating conversation, seek a third-party intervention like myself can help your husband to understand the importance of talking to you or talking with you, rather, right?
Thank you, Doc. No, is the use of sex toy a sin? And if so, if there are any supporting scripture?
You know, I was accosted sometime last year by someone in Jamaica who is highly regarded, came to my office and proceeded to tell me that he had come in contact with over 30 persons in 2 weeks that I have had the opportunity to influence, and that he thought that I was teaching erroneously. And so I said, okay, I'm here to learn, so you could enlighten my darlings. And he proceeded to tell me that I'm teaching persons to use toys and that it was wrong. So I said, may I have your scriptural evidence? And he pointed me to a scripture in Ezekiel where the Lord was admonishing 2 sisters who were caught in sexual or conducting themselves in sexual perversion. So I told him that that had nothing at all to do with toys. That was taken totally out of context. I'm also a theologian, you know. So the truth is, your sex life with your husband and your wife is your business. It is. The only thing I have seen prohibited in scriptures is anal sex. I've not seen anything else prohibited. So if you are both consenting, this is the consent that is important. If you are both consenting to include toys, to try to role play, to play doctor and nurse and gynecologist and patient, and, you know, to whatever, you know, introduce a knobby finger vibrator, or a bullet, or a, you know, whatever, penis ring, whatever the cases are. Whatever you decide, as long as it is consensual between both of you, it is the 2 of you. God has never put a restriction on what kind of sexual position you can have, because there are no Christian sex position and no secular sex position, right? He has never told you that you have to play Amazing Grace while you're making love. He has never told you that you can't introduce story. These are all things that we make up and try to infer them into scriptures. They are not there. So I don't see any prohibition. It is what you consent to, as long as you're not bringing a third party into your bedroom. And as long as, well, and I see where anal sex is strictly prohibited in the scriptures. I have not seen where you cannot be as creative as you want to be. You are created by a creative God. He gave you some of his creative genes. Use them and glorify God.
Thanks, Doc, for that response. Next caller wants to know what to do when the wife wants time and the professor wants the assignment, considering that assignment will make things get better in the long run, and spending time can be a detriment of the couple in the long run. And before you respond, Doc, I recall us, Avoni and myself, being at your Loving, what was it? Loving Without Limits?
Loving Beyond.
Beyond Limits, I think in
No,
2014.
it's loving without limits. Loving
Without
without limits.
Limits, right? I remember. And you gave an experience about you studying. So that should be an interesting response coming from you in this
Yes,
question.
I did say that while I was studying, I had to move my husband and my family onto the campus because I was running the risk of my husband being neglected. He said it to me once, Carla, once upon a time, my wife used to be my right hand, but now my right hand has become my wife. And he made the most of masturbation. So I made the decision that no right hand was going to take my place. So I moved him on the campus. Now I've had to be on the campus and balancing my husband, my two grandsons, my two sons, and my daughter was going to college, and we were all put up in 2 rooms or 3 rooms, right? And we had to make it work. The truth is, you can't be so unifocused on your GPA that you lose focus of what is important. I wanted to graduate with honors, but I also wanted to graduate with my husband. And I made the choice that if I were to graduate with 1 H only, it was going to be husband and not the honors. And so that's what I did. So I purposed to ensure that I would leave seminary with my husband. I eventually left with both H's, but that was because I paid attention to my husband. So when I got my timetable every semester, I went downstairs and I retyped the timetable, and I put in Nala time. That's my affectionate name for my husband. So in every semester, there's a night of each week that is exclusively his. No schoolwork, and it doesn't matter what paper is due tomorrow morning. Because at the end of the day, everything is important, but not everything have the same importance. I am still with my husband today, 43 years later. I'm saying it would not be that way had I chosen my GPA over my husband. So we have to know what's important.
Thank you, Doc. A caller wants to know, how can I make arrangement for personal counseling?
You can contact us, write us via email, carladunbarministries@gmail.com. You can call the office line, whether straight or on WhatsApp. I'm remembering just one out of my head now. So that's 876-782-7646. That's 876-782-7646. If you messenger us on Messenger or you put it on Facebook, we're going to get it anyway, right? So any one of those mediums, and you can make contact. I do counseling even via Zoom medium, because I have international clients, lots of international clients in Japan, the UK, the USA, in the Caribbean. So we do counseling over video calls, or you can come into the office where I have a couple of offices across the island, but since COVID-19, I've not been to my external offices. I've just stayed in Kingston. So I'm only my Kingston office. So if you're calling me from out of town or you're calling me from overseas, we may use the video medium. But if you prefer, you can come into office. My office is open Mondays to Fridays. And I am more so in office 3 days. I use other days to do other things, like I'm writing, I'm developing programs. As you heard, I'm hoping in the gym, which is a Grow Your Marriage Academy and Ministry. And that's launching on Sunday.
Know you're tired, Doc. So just tell us where we can get the book. I know you mentioned the subscription. We're in Jamaica. Is it only
All
in
right.
Jamaica, or are
No,
they able to access overseas?
sexscription, it's sexscription. Sexscription is a prescription for sex. It is on Amazon. It is in all major bookstores across this island. It's in Fontana pharmacies. It's in Kingston Bookshop, Sangster's Bookshop, Urban Bookstore, and it is at my office, and it is on Amazon. All of them, not just Sexscription. I have 3 books: Sexscription, Change the Journey, which is my autobiography, and the 52-week couples devotional workbook. That is an awesome book. It is not dated, so wherever you pick it up, you can start. Just last week, I had a testimony of somebody who was reading it for the very first time. She and her spouse went off somewhere for some weekend, and decided to just open the book and start the devotion. And they started at the second one, where I was talking about you need me and I need you, because all of the devotions are about your marriage. So that's the 52-week couples devotional and workbook, because it has commitment period. You have to commit to stuff. So those are all out there. That is on Amazon as well as on Kindle. So you can find all of them out there. Yeah, they're easily accessed out there.
All right, so there we had it. Reverend Dr. Carla Dunbar helping us to understand that we can definitely navigate these difficult times and keep the love flame burning. Doc, on behalf of
Yeah.
the team here at Straight Talk, my wife and I, Avoni and I, we want to really say thank you for taking time from your busy schedule to share with the audience this evening. We wish you all the best in your ministry and continue to help save those marriages out there. God be with you and God bless you. And I think you may want to talk about the upcoming launch of the singles. Just let the
Okay, sure.
in case.
I
Yes.
really want to say I'm so proud of you too, for what you are doing. I'm happy that, because Jamaica, well, not just the world needs persons who are fighting for the importance of marriage. It is really so important because it honors God, and we just need to understand it. And when I see other persons, and in the gym, I'm going to be training persons. I want to be training family life directors, marriage mentors, persons who want to coach other married persons. I really want to be training them. I want to die empty. So I want to empty out what is in me, the gift that God has given me. For this, I want to be able to pour it into persons like yourself. And so I'm encouraging persons to take the courses that I'm going to be doing on the gym. So the gym is it's Grow Your Marriage Ministry and Academy. So I saw the necessity for not only a ministry where couples can come, as soon as the COVID lift, they can come in their droves every other Sunday evening, where I just minister to them a word pertaining to their marriage and their family. That's an instruction I got from the Lord in 2014 when I was doing my tour of the island to promote the book for the launch that you were at. And so the ministry is derived out of it, and that's what the ministry will do. The academy is a teaching platform. Like I say, persons really are not so prepared. They're not very prepared for singleness. People don't know that they must understand that they must be 100% themselves and love their singleness and know about marriage and decide if they really want to take it on as a thing, because it really is a lifetime occupation. So the first course that I'm going to be launching, that I'm going to be teaching starting next week, Wednesday night, it's a 6-week course. So it's 6 Wednesday nights starting at 7 p.m. And it's called the MRI, the Marriage Readiness Intelligence on the Marks, right? So it will be a mixture of you knowing about yourself, understanding from a physical, spiritual, mental, emotional perspective, your readiness for marriage, and then some of the things that you do towards that. And that course is being offered for only $99 for the 6 week. Now, to see me in office for 45 minutes currently is $7,000. So when you are getting me for 6 Wednesdays for $99, that's the pilot course. And after that 6 week, it's not going to be offered for that again. And that's per person. Because after the pilot course, it's going to be $197 to access same course, right? So this is a pilot. And then, as I said, following that, we're going to be having different courses, the marriage maintenance course. We're going to be having the sexual proficiency course. We're going to be having the on your mark course. We're going to be having the how to talk so your spouse will listen, and how to give real affection. So one of those is for wives only, one is for husbands only. And so that is going to happen. The platform is it's a teachable platform, but the information is out there on my Facebook page, how you can log on, how you can register into the Zoom, into the classroom that is on Teachables, right? So it's at the Grow Your Marriage Academy on teachables.com, right? So you get all the information, how to log on. You get a local bank account that you can use if you're local. If you're international, you get the PayPal account or the Payoneer account, how you can pay using credit card, etc. to access the course. So that you have to start registering now. For the pilot, I'm really not taking any more than 20 persons for this pilot program, no more than 20 persons. And so you have to register now to get that 99 US dollars thing. For Sunday, if you log on to the launch on Sunday, it's going to be live. It's a streaming live launch at Carla Dunbar Ministries. That's on YouTube and Facebook, Carla Dunbar Ministries. That's live streaming of the launch Sunday evening at 4 p.m. 4 p.m. on Sunday evening, Carla Dunbar Ministries YouTube and Facebook, and Love 101 as well. So it will be streaming live on all those 3 platforms Sunday evening, 4 to 6. You get all the information about the launch, about teachables.com, and you'll be able to see a beautiful launch with persons, like Kevin Downswell, Rondell, Ristan and Tracy Kemar Bilko. They'll all be there, and a profound word from Minister Valentine Rodney on the launch on Sunday, and I look forward to seeing all of you.
All right. Congratulations, Avani.
I will also be interviewed tomorrow morning. I'm going to be on CVM. Like I said, I have to get up tomorrow morning to go do that promotion. Yeah,
All
but
right.
I really just want to thank God. And if I may use this medium also to thank my sponsors who are sponsoring the Lord: Best Dressed Chicken, Rainforest Seafood, Emerge Multimedia, Printed 876, Clarendon, Juicy Simba Production, that's the Susan Show, VMBS and Love 101. These are all kind sponsors who are helping to offset the cost of the launch for the gym.
Congratulations, Doc, and we are wishing you a wonderful and a successful launch.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
A big thank you to all our viewers for staying with us. I know it's a little late, past my bedtime, but thank you for joining us. And stay tuned for the next streaming of Straight Talk, where we talk about marriage and the family, finance, and your health. God bless you, and have a good night.
Too.